call on the head of exams and record of Gladden International School in the person of teacher Sarah Bassi. Please let's make welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone have seen my name. My name is Sarah Bassi. I'm here to present a topic, interpretation of general class timetable on current curriculum, preparing assessment, examination and application of marks to set questions. Okay, interpretation of timetable, setting of assessment, examination and application of marks. At first, we want to look at the meaning of timetable. Timetable can be defined as a schedule showing the planned order or sequence. Timetable is a schedule of events that organizes school activities throughout the day, week, term, or year. Let me round it up. What we mean by timetable is what is guiding us on what to do in a school section. For example, we have the school timetable. That alone is preparing us towards the term. This is first term. We have a timetable for this first term. It is telling us when we start, when we close, when we will have our mid-term break, we will start our exams, we have our PTF meetings. That is the reason we have the school timetable. And then you get to class timetable. The class timetable is the one that is enabling us to know how to carry out our teaching effectively. So for each activities, a timetable generally specifies the starting and also ending time. Now, importance of timetable. This is the main reason why we have timetable. 1. A timetable ensures that each class has only one teacher during learning hours of a particular period. You don't have more than a teacher in a class during learning time. For example, the new curriculum we have in the timetable, when we have ES, meaning English studies in the morning, by 8, that is the only teacher that is in the class as of that time. You won't have any other teacher, maybe the one that is teaching mathematics studies. Both of them cannot come in at the same time. 2. Learners are very clear about the subjects they have to study in a particular period. That timetable helps the learners to know when their teaching is coming in. The person that is teaching them mathematics, the person that is teaching them English will come in. So the timetable also enables the learners about the subject to study in a particular period. 3. Timetable also reduces the confusion while learning. That is when some people does not know what to do. You move in a time, you don't know whether you are to teach English, you don't know whether you are to teach math. But when your class have a timetable, it will enable you to know what you are teaching at a time so that you won't be confused. Number 4. Timetable also ensures that no teacher is scheduled for too many back-to-back classes. That number 4 is very important. For example, there are subject teachers. This one really goes to subject teachers. You have, by 8 o'clock, you have English in grade 1. By 9 o'clock, you have English in grade 2. By 10 o'clock, you have English in grade 3. This will help you so that you can have time to go through your book. So this timetable will help a teacher that by 9 o'clock, if you're having English in grade 1, 10 o'clock, at least you need are given the opportunity to modify lesson plans during preparation periods and collaborate with their colleagues. This helps too. There are some times that teachers need to meet with their colleagues concerning their lesson plans. Maybe you wrote something you did not understand. Your colleague can help you to sort it out. Number 6 says the timetable allows learners to know exactly when a specific subject is scheduled. Yes, that is why it is very important to first your timetable in your class. All the classes need to have a timetable that will enable the learners also to know when they have classes. Meaning of assessment. In education, the term assessment refers to the wide variety of methods or tools that educators use to evaluate, measure, and document the academic readiness or educational needs of learners. Types of assessment. We have 3 types of assessment. We have the assessment for learning. We have the assessment as learning. We have the assessment of learning. We want to look at the assessment for learning as number 1. Assessment for learning allows teachers to monitor learners on a day-to-day basis and modify their teaching based on what the learners need to be successful. In this assessment for learning, it will help you every day to be in contact with your learners so that whatever they do day in, day out, you can observe them and know when to correct them. After teaching a lesson, we need to determine whether the lesson was accessible to all learners while still challenging the more capable. What the learner learns and still needs to know, how we can improve the lesson to make it more effective. The second one is assessment as learning. This develops and supports learners with cognitive skills. This form of assessment is crucial, which is very important in helping learners become lifelong learners. As learners engage in peer and self-assessment, they learn to make sense of information, relate it to prior knowledge, and use it for new learning. Like this, like the second one, some of the children need guidance, need to be around people to learn. So what you need to do with them is you get them closer to yourself, you assess whatever you are doing at the right time. You don't allow them, you don't give them space. You bring them closer to themselves, to yourself. That will make them learn it faster. Learners develop a sense of ownership and efficacy when they use teachers' peer and self-assessment feedback to make adjustments, improvements, and changes to what they understand. The last one, assessment of learning. Assessment of learning is a snapshot in time that lets the teacher, learners, and their parents to know how well learners have completed the learning tasks and activities. It provides information about learners' achievement. What it provides useful reporting information, it often has little effect on learners. Let me explain more on this. This particular aspect is talking about the examination. We have taught them right from the beginning. This is the time for the parents, the child, and the teacher to know if what the teacher taught it was being assimilated to the children, if they really understood. Now, this is when the parents know the result, the end point of what the child was doing in the school. This is when the child will write everything he or she was being taught and then bring it out in the paper, being a result sheet for the parents to know, for the teachers to know, and even for the learners to see. Allocation of marks. Yes, number 1 says class attendance. Everybody knows that when you want to score a child during the examination, everything is round up to 100 marks, which is 100%. This is how you're going to divide the marks to have your 100%. Number 1 says class attendance. Every blessed day the child gets into your class or gets into the class, whatever you do and how the child is responding, the way the child is coming to class every day, not being absent, is 10 marks. Responding to general question number 2. After teaching, you ask questions day in, day out in that very day. It's 10 marks. Doing home activities, you give the children homework to take it home. It's 10 marks. Number 4 says class test. Yes, before. Something has been skipped in the first part we were doing. Number 4 was class test. Before we had a special time for that. Maybe week 3, week 6, we do have time for tests. But in this present curriculum, we don't have that time for test again. So it is being said that anytime you're teaching, you pick something from what you taught, and then you give a child test. So every day you score a child on whatever you taught for that day. So at the end of it, a child should have 20 marks from the class test. That's class activities. And it will be sum up to 50 marks. The remaining 15 marks goes for examination. This is how the examination marks will be divided. Your objective carries 20 marks. Your theory carries 30 marks. Now, inside your theory, each of the questions, there is mark allocated to it. You have to attach the mark before you submit your question paper for vetting. That sums up to 100%, being 100 marks. Thank you.
She did, more especially the beginning, she did a good research. And, those I like mostly, I tell them the truth. I talk to them. Those I do not like, you will do, I will keep quiet, will just be silent after you do what you do. If she have time in this, she has more things to tell us from each of the slides. I know already, she has been talked to already. Her emotion have changed. Each of the points or the slides has different points. Should give more details. But this assessment, you see, everything ends up here. Please, objective questions, 30. Theory, 20. This will enable you carefully give the number of theory questions. Because some of you will set questions or theory and be given what is social studies. The next thing you give 15 marks. For what? The chorus answer. You want to know the type of question, the type of test that qualify a particular word, mark. And that is why I decided to reduce the theory to be 20 marks. And if they are writing theories, should not be less than 4 or more than 5. The objectives here therefore means that your objective question must be number of what? 30. Or give them 30. Because objective have given them refreshment of what you have taught them from the beginning till the last term. But the theory is cracking their brain. to see how to answer one or two questions. If a child understood the objective very well, the theory should not be a measurement for pass. Because it's expected that the child has been attending class. The child has been responding to questions. Or if not, the child has been doing home activities. So this is 10 plus 10 plus 30, 50. There's a potential now. And at the end of class, you give tests. From the first time you start teaching, which is 20, the first time you start teaching, you give what? Test. Now, each topic you have, you should be able to know, this is the total topics I'm having. This is the total topic I'm going to teach. If your total topics for the term, what I mean total topic is the topic you are going to write on the board when you are teaching, is 10 for the term. It therefore means that each of your tests, the class test will be 2 marks. At the end of it, every day you give them that, and they pass it, do what? Mark, score 2. Now, in your objective, if your objectives is more than the number, and which perhaps the content development is up to, like, let's just say 3, you have to calculate all your content development. It might be a total of 40, for instance, based on the objective. Therefore, means that you are going to divide this 20 by 40. So each question you ask based on the objective, you will give what? 0.5. At the end of the term, you calculate the score. You see that the child who is doing this, attendance is 10, has not stopped coming to school. Doing the home activities, the child has not complained. Class perhaps has 10. Now see 10, 10, 10, 30, plus 30, 60. That child passed. This should not be an issue. This is where we ask, most of us will say that assessment is not the correct test of the idea of the child. This. But if a child fell out from here and his potential is here, add with this, so a child can miss any of these but 1, 2, and perhaps 3. The child will still do what? Perform well. Situation, you are giving exams, 70 marks. Objective, 20. The theory, 50. That is what you were doing. Sometimes when you are giving 15 objectives, the mass is 15, and the rest become what is that? 50 something marks. I mean, as in a theory, you add them. Sometimes why we are bringing this is that they have not been scoring the children in attendance. Attendance is important. You have to score it. It should be part of their grade. It should not end up in the register. You in the attendance, in the result, you see where they have attendance. You tick often. You tick. All the ticking, does it add to the general 100 marks? No. You understand me? Let the parent now come up. When my child is not doing well, say, sir, your child have not been coming to school every day. The parent will know. So it doesn't mean the road test, when the child was said outside the test, attendance is also a mark. You will be careful. My child is not doing well. Such child, perhaps the parent will be helping the child writing the. You don't need to talk much. You know that he is a parent. After you call the parent the first time, don't write this thing for the child. Already the one they write, you should give that child that homework again. Once you notice that the parent wrote it, Right on that shown by the parent or written by the parent, you give that question again to that child to take it home. If the child come back again with the same thing, score that child 0. It's no big deal. Score that child 0. Those are the parents that will be standing by the window in secondary school to see how their children will be writing YA. You know, some parents will drove car just to make sure their children pass YA with their money. So, by the time we are setting exam of 50 marks, we will really know that we have achieved from here to here is teacher's mark. Do you understand? This one is the school mark. That to say, teacher will not be able to do anything here. You know your child has been attending, the register will talk. You cannot take a child that has attended a class or come for the school when that child was not in school. It's not possible. This will encourage you to be every day, as they left devotion, you think that they have attended class. It's very important. And all of us must know it. Must know it. And get set. We will query whosoever that will be wrongly administering questions or giving allocating marks. It's very important. It's part of our, it is this one that tells us that we have tried. The performance of children from each responding to questions is given that teacher. It is one of those things. And teacher, you cannot say this child has responded to these questions. Let me ask you. This is what you are going to do. The test you are going to give at the end of the class should be the questions you are asking the class before you give that question. As you are teaching, what is social studies? And you are teaching the social studies is this. At the end of, you want to give your class assessment. You ask them, what is social studies? You, after you have mentioned the person's name, and you will answer, you will record that Igbeyon answer it well. You mention. Try, and that is why we give 1 hour. We know why we are doing that. Try and ask every one of them the questions. They will give you. And by the time they answer, you give them, because you must have your charts. You must be creative. Our college secretary says something. You must be creative. Equally as the children, some of them are creative. You can take a piece of paper, draw a tabular form, put all their names, each of the, get a duplicate, or you make a computer type for you. Each of the topic you are presenting, you go with a sheet, which you already having their ready-made names. Do you understand me? You're already having their ready-made names. When you get to the class, ask them the question at the end or while you are explaining, and they answer. You look at the name of the person, you think. That means that in that subject, after you think, those who couldn't, it's giving you that child is not able. So before during your conclusion, you explain it again. Even if that child is not able to, there's no problem. You'll be surprised to see that when writing, that child who couldn't define, maybe the one writing well. So they'll have opportunity of those who can quickly speak. Some people can speak, you clap for them, but you cannot write. In my secondary school, I saw the guy here. I think he's married now. He was a school prefect. Was school prefect. But he cannot write. But if he speaks internationally, could you believe that? That was SS2. Promotion to SS. That was SS, yes, SS2. Promotion class to SS3. The guy only got 4 credits. And 4 credits in my school, you have failed. He repeated class. He left there. He left the school because of failing. He has been asked to repeat to government science school. That time it was at Main Avenue. And he went there and repeated SS2 instead of repeating in a middle school. And as he was in SS2, science school saw the way he was also speaking. He was made the school prefect in science school. I want to let you know that the guy was okay in terms of the fittings, the speaking, the grammar, but they didn't know his secret. You know, government school, everyone, nobody felt school before. My daughter, JS1, JS2, JS3, SS1, this is SS2. I've not set my eye on our results. Government school. I have not. I asked, I threatened, nothing. Like they say, no matter what they teach, that is government. No matter what they teach, they don't assess the children. What is wrong? Give you results to the students to take home. At the end of the academic year, everyone is moving. Everyone is moving. Nobody repeat class. It was the mother who later said we should change in this very SS2. And we have to change it to private school. As I'm talking to you, even in this private school, I have not received the result of my daughter. I mean results. I don't know if you have not seen. Those are errors from schools. Because the owners of schools don't care what is happening. The day I will storm to that school, the day I will enter the school, they will be afraid of me. But I'm going to talk to them because I am an owner of school. I will talk to them. I will tell them that what they are doing is not good. You are killing the systems. The children don't know their performances. The parents are not impressed. The only thing what parents are looking for, promotion, 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 promotion. My child will be promoted. But in this school, a parent called a week ago that he went through his child book and discovered that he has not put anything, he has not copied notes in maths. He said that they have not been teaching. When I was informed, I said, but me, I knew. The young guy was not teaching. You were covering him. If you are the owner of the school and you compromise, he will come today. 3 days he will not be in school. He will come the next day. But I called him to my office. I don't like what you are doing. He said, no, sir. I have covered all the topics. How will you cover topics when the children do not have notes? How do you teach? Is maths something you just talk and get out? Maths, you need to put it. It's because you compromise. And the moment you compromise, the system collapses. That parent who says that they are not doing math will see the deficiency in the school aspect that they don't have a good math teacher. It's the truth. So, if, like what I'm doing, nothing stopped me operating a sole proprietorship. Not that I don't like don't like proving also that I'm a big man. Nothing what has stopped me operating a sole proprietorship in the sense that it will be the honor of the school and the teachers. But why do I go around putting structure? Why do I go around putting structures? I am putting structures so that they will help and follow up assessments. Because when you put a good structure, the structure will work. The one who is in charge of this will make sure things are working. The one who is in charge of that will make sure things are working. But once a school is running on a sole proprietorship, and that's why you see some people are bearing proprietor. I hate that name. I hate that name. Proprietor makes you are the owner of the system. You are the owner of the school. And as such, nobody can contribute. Nobody can say anything. Nobody can, input on what you are doing. And that's why I'm not being a director, because director, you should be able to do what? Give direction, and things work. Whoever directs can listen. And that is why companies are using managing directors. So in this, it is how we are going to do, how we are going to assess that will help the school. We will be so proud of you when the parents will call and you explain, this is why this child is having this. And the parents will now be satisfied, actually. Because the parent will come, like what I told the college secretary, that we are not going to only give results. We are not going to give results. We are going to do what we call analysis of the results. Each question, because for instance, maths, we score 60/100, everything. Parents do not know the area which the child is having difficulties. But what you know is that my child did well. 60/100. But the child do not know simple arithmetic. The child cannot work with multiplication. The child cannot do division. But the child is good in addition. It is addition that helps the child. But the child is having problem in multiplication. He's having problem with multiplication. We should be able to analyze that. In question, that is why question must come from, like what we said in the text, must come from every content of development. So that you'll be able to analyze. We will analyze, we will work to analyze. You now say, this child in the math, under this, the child was able to perform well in multiplication than the addition. We are analyzing on the child's name so that by the time the parents are receiving results, they will be able to see the analysis of the whole thing. That is most of the time, parents don't even look at the question paper, because once you deliver the question paper, they don't know, the question paper does not specify which question they are answering. Most especially in the objectives part. They will just be going around. My child didn't do well here. But when you analyze it well, this is the one who will help us. If the child is moving to the next class, we have a copy. We give to the class teacher that is ready. Look at the efficiency of this child. Even though the child passed and was promoted, but these are the areas the child is having problem. Please put more effort in these areas. Forget about this building. Forget about how the school is. We are trying to create a standard that even when a white woman sending a child down here should go with exactly what is happening in London, what is happening in Canada. I know we don't have a now to put the whole system, but time will come that certain things will change. Yes. So this part brought all this analysis. And if we all work towards it, we will really You will employ teacher. He will come to the school and find difficult until he passes through training. That is the system I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a system that somebody will come, he say, I know how to teach. He now enter class. Because before you are here, you have to be trained in our own way. When you go out, you can drop it by the gates. And take what you have. Go to anywhere that can accept you. Sometimes you may live here and go to a school and try to use where they tell you, shh, no be here. Because they do not know. It's because they do not know. We have a staff here who was a Nene here. She was brushed up here. We later found that she has the potentials. We developed and we placed her in the class. And she was doing well, if not bright. You understand? If not suspicious life. But when she left, instead of performing the same thing she was here, she was placed as a cashier. Perhaps, she went and told her that she was the one managing the whole this thing. Yes. And she found herself in where? As a cashier. Meanwhile, if it was somebody who really captured what we were looking for, would have gone there in that school and give them all vivid what we have here. Unfortunately for her, before she left, she handed over everything that has to do with the training we gave to her back to the school. And when she realized that she has done nonsense, she came back to pick. They told her, you can't have it. Please go your way. So she went empty. She has nothing to present to that new school, that this is what she was. And that is why I am coming on with a certificate. That as you have a certificate, you have enough to explain to that school if you live here. That ma or sir, this is how the former school did. They organize training. They make sure the training is encouraging. Please, if you need the people that train, we can bring them. Let's build our school. You present your certificate. I was one of the participants. I have attended the first training. I have attended the second training. I have attended. All those things will boost the honor and belief in you. He may even tell you, my dear, come. We'll be having assistant administrator officer because you have what to present. And you become a big person. If Asuba was not participating in their former school, I mean in the system, he wouldn't have come here and start bringing ideas, suggestions. It wouldn't have been possible. Because he was part of the system. So as you are here, this is not a school owned by Elder Sir Kambasi. It's an establishment. I am working to be paid. You are working to be paid. And I pull resources to see that the thing works. You pull idea because you are not going to bring any resource. Your own is to pull what? Idea. You don't need to skip. You don't need to stay. You come. Brainstorm. Tell us this is what you think. I browsed and I saw a school in California. I saw what they were doing. Come on. Snapshot. Bring it. We looked at it before you know we implement. I know some of you have been bringing ideas and we have been doing it. So the training is not for void. It's important to pay more attention to whatever we are doing. We are going to do one thing. And this one thing, I would have said you should be entertained first. But I don't know your spirit. Because there are some people that have high spirit. They still want to get more things. What is the time now?